All right, you ready, Chase?
Yeah, man. Let's do
Let's
it.
do it. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Portable Trevor here, and today I have a very special guest. He has acted in a couple of TV shows, including recently on Netflix, Sweet Magnolias. Please welcome Chase Anderson. What's up,
What's up, man? How you doing?
dude? You are here. Where are you? Are you in your apartment? Because this looks cool.
Yeah, this is my house.
It's your house, nice. What have you been doing during quarantine, dude?
Man, I've been watching a lot of The Wire, playing a lot of Switch, and working out, and that's really it, man. Working out is keeping me sane. It gives me like
Really?
something
Is it hard to do at-home workouts, or would you prefer to go to a gym?
I think it's like grass is greener on the other side. Because when I was going to the gyms, I never wanted to go to the gym, and now that I have 2 months here doing home workouts, I'm like, make it stop. I just want to like I'm not going to a gym, but I would love like a community, like a CrossFit experience right now, just to be around
Nice.
people and do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know the CrossFit community people are very tight and they do
Mhm.
these insane workouts. It's about all I know about them.
I just love like it's just so friendly in there. Like it's always just like the the last CrossFit gym I went to, like I think you had to shake everyone's hand and introduce yourself like before the
Interesting.
workout started. And me as like someone new, I was like, wow, we just bypassed all the anxiety I was going to feel for the entire workout. That's dope.
I guarantee this joke's been made, but it's like almost cult sounding.
Whatever. That's like I don't know. There's a few things that I've done where like there's like acting classes I've been to where like I've read reviews that it's like, oh, it's culty. A lot of times that means people just like it.
Yeah, like me and Chase, we've been to this place that I've talked a lot about on the show called the Thunderdome. And whenever I describe it to people,
Yeah.
I've had a few people be like, "Oh, so it's like a filmmaking cult." I'm like, "No, stop."
It's so funny. Like people just, especially Americans, are just desperate for community. And then like
Mhm.
we build these places of community and it's called like what? How's that make sense?
We're being very safe. We're not doing anything illegal. We're not like, sharing each other's blood or doing weird stuff like that.
No, we are using each other for personal growth and fitness.
Yes, that is what we do here. But Chase, like I said in the beginning, you are an actor, and I forgot to mention this in the intro, but you're also a really skilled photographer.
Thank you.
And I said this to you before we started, but I absolutely like love all your photography. So let's talk about that first, because that's what I most know you for is your photography.
Oh, that's cool, man.
You do a lot of portraits and just a lot of cool fun stuff too. So
Yeah.
why don't you tell me about that and kind of your style?
Um, sure. The whole photography, I've always wanted to be a photographer, but like the only reason I'm a photographer is because I'm an actor and I didn't want to wait tables anymore because it's the service industry is just a rough place to be for a long period of time.
Oh, I bet.
Um, so I actually, when I got my camera, I was like, I'm gonna get a nice one and I'm gonna learn how to use it and I'm gonna take a month off from work. And if I have to go back, I have to go back. But if I don't, like, good, because I need this time to just like focus on learning this camera.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I totally used like just the network I had built up from acting to kind of build my headshot business. Um, so for the past, man, what is time? Has it been, I think 2 years I've been a headshot photographer. And it's, I started in a garage just using natural light on the subject. And then
2 years. That's how long this quarantine has been. What are you talking about?
careful. It'll be
Yeah.
2 years in a second, and
Oh
you'll
man, did I just speak it into existence?
remember that joke that was funny at the time.
I do.
Um, yeah, I just started using what I had, and then which is just a garage that covered the subject and let like a right amount of light in, and then like I would just mess up and mess up and mess up and feel terrible, and the client would love the result, and I would feel terrible, and the client would love the result, and I don't know, and just started like I would learn how to use. It was actually probably this softbox that I would use as like a side light, and then I'd add another light, top light, and then I was like, okay, like I'm throwing a lot of lights in this garage. Like I think I need to try and start doing like some studio type stuff. So now I have a studio, and yes, I do have a Twitter. This is going to be distracting on the side.
Oh, I mean, you can close it. Like sometimes what I do is I just
I like it.
I'll ask like the questions from the chat like towards the end of the show if you
Yeah.
want to do that.
I don't know. When I talk about photography, I always worry that I'm getting a little nerdy with it because
No, dude, that's what this whole show is. We get down and nerdy, man.
yeah, like I was talking to a friend the other day who he just like takes pictures. He doesn't do it commercially. I won't close it. He doesn't do it commercially.
No, please ask questions. Like they're very helpful. But I'm just saying, like if it does like get overwhelming, sometimes I'll be like, we'll just ask it towards the end or something like that. But no, you are fine. Please ask away. Please hang out and chat with us.
What was I saying? Oh, yeah. I was get like I'll literally talk to the client. I'll talk the client's ears off about like lighting setups, and they'll just be like, uh-huh. Uh-huh. And I'll be like, "Oh, I'm doing it again."
That's how I do sometimes with like, a show like this or like my camera whenever I'm filmmaking or just whatever or like a video game. So
Mhm.
everyone does it, man. So don't
Yeah.
feel any shame.
Like that's because I'm passionate about it, and that
Yeah, totally.
enjoying
Um,
it is the only reason that I'm still doing it. So,
yeah, totally. And something that I like that you said is you took a month off just to learn your camera. I
mhm.
think that's super rad, dude. Like I feel like learning something new is so intimidating to people that
Yeah.
they're not willing to make those big leaps. And you took a whole month off of work just to learn a camera.
Well, let's be clear. I remember like wanting to be a photographer in high school. So
Mhm.
you say like it takes people a long time to. I didn't actually jump in for, you know, 27, 28 years of my life. I was too scared to, or too frustrated. A lot of times people would let me hold their camera or let me borrow their camera, and I would just get so pissed off
Mhm.
because I didn't understand the gate, like the entry point to how this works.
Mhm.
And then I spent a pretty penny on that camera, and I couldn't get it. I still couldn't get it to do exactly what I wanted. And I was like, oh, like this is just going to be like that guitar I got that I don't use anymore, that keyboard I got that I don't use anymore. So, um, and I was getting frustrated going into work, and that like kind of, and just feeling like that was a waste of time. So I took that month off, and that's a privilege that I had to do. I was coming off of a commercial that I did, so I had like a little bit of savings. Um,
Nice. That's how I was able to move here to Atlanta. I worked at a really crappy IT job,
yeah,
saved up a bunch of money, and then the owner of the house that I live in, he was like, "Hey, putting together a house full of filmmakers. Why don't you come move down here?" And I'm just like looking at this money that I saved. I'm like, you know what? It's just sitting there. I'm gonna put it to use, and I'm gonna chase my dreams.
yeah. I think I'm really good at investing in myself. Um, like taking money that I've made and just putting it right back
Hmm.
into photography or into buying new classes, acting classes, or just staying involved like that, or getting new headshots, stuff like that. I don't know. Because
Hmm.
part of me is just like money's like I have dreams and I want what's at the end of that dream more than I want whatever that money's gonna do sitting there or Jordans I could buy.
Yeah, I totally get that. And
And don't get me wrong, I'd spend money on clothes, too much money.
Kelly, you asked a really good question that I want to kind of change just a tad. So, Chase, you were talking about, you took classes in high school, you said, for photography?
And no, I haven't. The first class I took in photography was a month ago.
Oh, I thought you meant like or what did you say? You said you did
I as
photography.
early as high school, I wanted to take
You
them,
wanted to do photography.
but I never like took the time to learn cameras until like 2 years ago.
I got you. But she asked, what advice would you give to your younger self? So let's just say, like, what would you say to your, high school self that, like, whenever you were taking an interest, what would you say to him?
First off, Cali, I'm going to mispronounce this, Cali Carosis 90. Thank you for watching the show.
Yeah, thank
Um,
you very much.
I really appreciate it. My younger self, I don't know, man. Um, I think it will always, the heart of it has got to be like to just be kind to yourself, to myself. Um, and in that, be patient. I don't know. Yeah.
No, dude, you're doing great. Keep going.
There's just so many things. It's like, I'll tell you this, it could build off into this, but um, for me personally, I'm really happy with where things are going in my life.
Hmm.
And I've only gotten here by making decisions for my life. I think younger me, I definitely had a lot of social anxiety and a lot of anxiety period. And I don't think I really understood that I was in control of my life. Um, and I think it took me running into walls, metaphorical walls. It's just Bell. Okay. It took me running into walls and getting really miserable doing things I didn't want to do to take a leap and do things that I really wanted to do. I would have never started acting because I didn't think that that was like a realistic thing that I could do. I would never have started acting until unless I got so miserable working at Enterprise rent a car. And I would have never picked up that camera until I got pretty miserable waiting tables and feeling like I was wasting my time.
Hmm.
Um, or not, like my time was just much more valuable.
Yeah, totally. And I kind of want to answer that question too, because I think I love this topic. Like, what
Hmm.
would you say to your younger self? Like, dude, if I could go back to high school, like, I can't tell you where I would be at this point because high school me was so much more self-conscious and just worried about what other people thought. And I really wanted to get more into filmmaking and everything, but I was just like too afraid. And it's funny, dude. Like, I think like for almost 8 years straight, like after high school, I didn't make one video, but everybody still knew me as the video guy. And then I went to college and I like majored in advertising, did a little bit of videography and stuff and filmmaking, but it took like I like what you said. It took you being miserable almost to get into it, like
Yeah.
acting and photography, because um, like I worked at a crappy IT job and I was just so miserable for over a year. I didn't do anything creative just about. And then it took me being miserable to get out of my comfort zone.
Hmm.
So would you say that was true for you?
No, absolutely. I feel like I like meandered through the answer of that, and then I like found
Oh, dude, you did great.
what I was getting at. And that really is the truth. Like, I can't take credit for being super bold with my life choices. It took me getting miserable to make those choices. So if I had to give my younger self advice, it would absolutely be like, you don't have to wait till you're miserable to
Hmm.
choose where to design your life however you want it. Like you can design your life how you want it now, and it'll save
Yeah.
you a lot of time.
And for the longest time, I was very cynical about, the whole you can chase your dreams. It's like almost a Disney movie cliche, chase your dreams and you're going to do just fine. Like, just do it and it'll happen. And I didn't believe it for the longest time.
Hmm.
And once I started doing it, like my dreams started coming true. I'm not nearly where I want to be, but like I'm like, wow, that light, I can almost see it. It's like shining through the cracks just a little bit.
Yeah, it, and that's what it's about, right? Acting is acting is my dream, but
Hmm.
I'm not acting every day. Like I'm actually acting very little. But it's those moments is cliche as shit, but it really is those moments of like, man, like I really liked that audition I just did, or like I was scared as hell to go to set today, and you know what? Like things were okay. And it's like it's just moments like that where it's like that's actually the fruit. So
Yeah. And yeah, you may not be acting every day, but I think you're pursuing to act every day. Like you're probably sending out emails and auditioning tapes and
for sure.
doing everything you can to make connections. So
Mhm.
in essence, I think it seems like you are acting every day.
Yeah. I love that as an actor, watching television is work.
Totally.
Yeah, I'm watching Sweet Magnolias, and this is me pursuing acting. I'm watching television. I'm seeing what's going on. I'm doing research, market research.
And to segue into Sweet Magnolias, was it weird like seeing yourself on Netflix for the first time?
Yeah, I know it's definitely weird. I'll be honest with you. I haven't watched my parts yet, uh,
Really?
because it's that is just like a weird feeling. I'm watching the show in order, and right now I'm in the middle of episode 4.
Hmm.
And I've seen clips that I've been tagged in, and I'm like, okay, that wasn't that bad. But it
They
is,
kept me in.
yeah, no. There's obviously an extremely good feeling of like I saw myself in the trailer for it, and I
Mhm.
lost my mind. I was like, oh. And it's moments like that where I can't control that I will see it, where it's like, oh, okay, that was okay. But it's very surreal that I'm on a show that's doing really well. Um,
Mhm.
but I'm stoked. Yeah, it's pretty cool, pretty crazy.
That's cool. And tell me about the process of how you got that, because I mean, I'll be honest, all the viewers, I haven't watched the show yet, and I might just because my buddy Chase is in it now. But what was that whole process like of getting that gig?
um, yeah, so I have an agent who gets me auditions. So they are the go-between of casting and me. And so they gave me this audition for Jeremy Reynolds, and most auditions these days are taped at home. So you
Mhm.
have your own little lighting setup. That's why I got a light on me right now. And my friend Max actually had the same audition, so we took turns doing it. And yeah, I did the audition, sent it in. I think I was telling you before, I had an in-person call back within the week. So I drove there. Um, yeah, when I walked in the door, what I now know are I think there were more people, but I do remember the director slash executive producer and another executive producer and the casting director being in there when I got there. Um, and Norman, the director, asked me to do one of the scenes. I did it, and my anxiety like came out in it. At least in my mind, it did, and I kind of like my voice cracked a little bit in the audition. And I remember he gave me direction to do the same scene again, and I was so relieved that he did because I was like, now that I have that out of my body for one time, like I know I can nail it again. And the second take, I felt really good about. And I think his direction was, can you flirt more? Which is now like if you look on Twitter, a lot of people are appreciating the flirt.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that too. It seems like you're kind of a meme now with that show, with how hot you are.
I don't know how to talk about that.
I don't expect you to, but has it like at least felt good? That's like, oh, people are watching and they like this character.
Yeah. It's, I mean, I've been acting for like that specific feeling. I've been acting for 7 or 8 years. And
Mhm.
I think I was telling you this earlier. It's like your head is down and you're just forward. And even when you book a role, you do the role and you walk away and you just look for what else is going to be the next thing that you can make some money doing. Because like
Mhm.
this isn't, at least at my level, like we're not getting paid millions or thousands, like millions of dollars. So um, to be able to be in this show and look back and it's doing really well and people are resonating with it and the character, it's like not something I was prepared for. It's like not for me. Like it's not a huge thing, but like for people to be tweeting about me is like wild.
Nice. Bill, I will answer your question for this one. Was there anyone on set you've been a fan of and was happy to meet?
um, I kind of came into this one blind, but I did sit next to Chris Klein in the makeup chair one day, and I'm very proud of this. I think I held my own pretty well and not freaking out because I was very aware of who Chris Klein is.
Mm.
So we had a little conversation about sports and whatnot, and I think I talked about how my hips were tight and just I did not make a complete fool of myself. But Chris Klein for sure, and then yeah. But it's interesting, like it's an interesting concept that like at that time, Sweet Magnolias is not a thing yet. Well, it's a book.
Mhm.
It's not like the number one thing on Netflix. It's like I wasn't familiar with the book series at the time. So to me, it was I knew my pages that I was given to do my scene, and now I know like it's a fully fleshed out television show. So it's just a weird. It's all weird, man.
Adjective of the day, weird, with
Yeah.
Chase Anderson. But yeah, dude, and to go back to, I want to answer Chase's sort of question, but he commented on what you were talking about with like, anxiety and taking control. Chase said, "I think I never understood that I was in control of my life." Great quote. Like you said that earlier, and I think that's just so fascinating. Like how much more in control you are of life than you think you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of wanted to elaborate on that more because it seems like people like you and me, we've taken, the bull by the horns and we've tried to strangle life and be like, hey, we we're the captain of this ship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Loaded question, I know.
I'm like rereading that quote, and it's like I can't believe I said that. Yeah, I think I just had really good parents, like that took care of me, and maybe I just felt really. I do know that there was just an idea that like I like they maybe I didn't like take that um that ability to like process that I am in control of things because like I was provided a really nice life and I didn't really have to make decisions that resulted in my life getting better or worse.
Mm.
I grew up playing basketball, and I love basketball. If I could do anything, I'd be in the NBA. But I was provided an opportunity to do what I wanted like my whole childhood, and then I don't know.
No,
It's
I
like
totally get that.
really I'm like pondering why I didn't feel like I could make those decisions. But um, yeah, it's definitely, I don't know, maybe it's a little bit of like you just have to jump off the hill and or the mountain and like spread your wings and flap until you can fly. I don't know.
Yeah, and I can relate to that too. I had a really good upbringing as well. Like I grew up in a really nice middle class family
Mm,
and never really had a lot of struggles growing up, to be honest. Like the worst thing that would happen to me is I would like scrape my knee on the playground whenever I was a kid. Like I didn't I'm blessed that I didn't go home to like a dysfunctional family or anything that would
yeah.
lead to like later mental illnesses, like a lot of my friends have gone through. But the fact I'm still like very thankful I had that because I think it like helped me become who I am today. They taught me how to be nice. They taught me how to work hard. And but with those like, those privileges, it was it was also hard to like really push my dreams because I grew up in a small hometown.
Sure.
And I don't know where you grew up, but in my hometown, like if you weren't like a construction worker or doing some kind of random small business, then you probably weren't making it big like in my hometown.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can relate to that or not.
I grew up in Lawrenceville, Georgia, which is it's the suburbs. It's
Hmm.
about 45 minutes out of Atlanta. I think I mean, like no one I knew was acting. I'll tell you that. Like no one I knew was like doing creative work and making a living doing it. It was definitely a smaller town in that regard. I don't remember a
Hmm.
lot of being exposed to that. But it's funny. My brother makes like he's an extremely talented uh, woodworker, makes wooden furniture. So he's also ended up being an artist. So, and my dad was actually he did photography before he was a home builder. So
Hmm.
there's a little bit of like craftsman and craft in that, and so I don't know. Forgot what we were talking about.
No, I was just asking like, how your hometown life was pretty much. Like
Yeah.
my dad, he was an electrician. My mom's a hairdresser. So where did a filmmaker come
Yeah.
from? And my
Yeah.
brother, he's a machinist. So like I'm definitely the oddball in the family.
I remember making a video for science class and like putting the Mentos in like the Sprite or Coke leader and like that being part of the video and just loving working in those mediums. So I've always wanted to get back into film and I always wanted to be an actor. So yeah, I think that kind of set a seed somewhere. My
Yeah,
favorite
totally.
basketball team, I'm going to take it down to the comments.
Yeah, totally.
My favorite NBA team is the Atlanta Hawks. Um,
Represent.
yeah, the hometown team. The State Farm Arena is, I could walk to State Farm Arena where they play.
Dang, you live pretty close then.
Yeah, I live in Castleberry Hill, so it's like just south of Mercedes-Benz and State Farm. I've always loved the Hawks, and I really like the team they're putting together with Trae Young, so I'm really excited. And I grew up being a Duke basketball fan, but I don't watch a ton of college basketball anymore.
I gotcha.
Celtics,
And Ooh, Celtics.
You like,
Um,
you like Paul Pierce?
do what?
I'm talking to.
Yeah, I was like, are you talking to me or her?
Let's see if it. Okay, they're not responding in time. Celtics are fine, obviously.
She said, obviously.
Ah,
Totally. But yeah, man, let's go back to like you pursuing acting. So you're kind of like me. Like I like shifted like careers all the time. Like you really wanted to play in the NBA, and then you shifted into acting and photography. Do you remember a moment where you were like, yeah, this is what I want to do. Like this is what I'm going to pursue for the rest of my life.
like after I started and being like,
Mhm.
oh, yeah, this is working.
Yeah.
Um, I'm sure there was. I do remember driving to is either North or South Carolina where I had one of my first roles in the inspectors, which if you pull up that footage, I look completely different. It was like 4 years ago. I have short hair and a fade. But I remember driving up there and just like it was pitch black night. I was running out of gas. I didn't know if I was gonna make it to the gas station, but I was just like so freaking excited that like I had the opportunity to do this. Um, and I was really nervous. I remember I was just playing the scene, like I recorded my voice doing the scene, and I was just playing that the whole way um, up there. But I definitely got a little emotional in that car ride, just because like you just get told no so often in this career, and you have to develop this thick skin to just like accept that no is the way. Like no, like like knowing you are progressing in your career is just getting the audition, and then the no is just like to be expected. That's part of it. But there's somewhere along the line where like getting too many no's and accepting those no's becomes normal. And then when you get an opportunity where someone says yes, it's like, oh my God,
How important do you think it is to have thick skin as an actor?
you cannot do it without it. Um, just because of what I just said, like you have to be like even beyond the nose, like if you get to set and you can't take direction, like you have to be able to to take criticism. There's so much, man. Like you have to be able to
Mhm.
take criticism. You have to be able to work with people who aren't going to be like the best scene partners. Like you have to have that thick skin and not let anything affect you. And at the same time, you have to be completely open to the other actor. And I think that's definitely something I'm working on is being completely open and completely shut off at the same time. Shut off to negative thoughts, shut off to like people are watching, shut off to anywhere that your mind can go,
Mm.
and just being completely open to whoever is you're acting across who you hope is equally open to you. So it's kind of it's a pretty difficult tight wire act. So I've started to get to really respect the people who make it look easy and make it look like they're not doing anything at all, because like that's actually the hardest thing to do.
Yeah, and I think in any creative field, I think it's important to have thick skin, especially as an actor, because it's practically part of your job to accept rejection. Because like if one audition just ruins you, then how are you going to be able to move forward?
Yeah.
And like you said, most of your career is just keeping your head down and moving forward. So
I
when
mean,
you get told no or whatever, then if you can't move on, then look for another career.
we're taught to just forget about the audition as soon as you send it in.
Mhm.
Kind of messed up. It's like, don't have hope. hope will break you.
That's another great quote. Don't have hope. Chase Anderson. 2020.
Oh, it's just like acting is a funny thing, man. The journey, like it's kind of weird. Ah, damn. Okay. After this interview is done, I'm going to a thesaurus and I'm finding 8 more words for weird.
I'm trying to think of other ones, but I'm not going to do that right now.
Weird.
So, so other acting gigs that you've done that would have been like your favorites so far.
Odd.
Odd is a good one.
One of my favorites,
Chase.
one of my absolute favorites was working on Black Lightning, where I played like this classic supervillain that was in the comic books years and years ago, and one of the only people to defeat Superman. But
you got to play that?
I got to play that in the opening or the first episode of season 3 of Black Lightning. I played Cyclotronic, who was like this like petty thief that was kind of exposed to nuclear radiation. So he kind of obtained powers, and people kind of took advantage of him and kind of forced him to do evil with those powers. So he just went farther down that rabbit hole. I really enjoy that character, not only for the powers, because they did some crazy special effects with that, where I like stopped bullets with my hands and then sent them off, but also because like there was actual depth to like what I was saying. Like there were layers to the dialogue, there was layers to that character, there was sadness, and there was anger, and like you could understand where he was coming from, as opposed to just like, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, he's not this like mustache twirling villain.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, man, I'm going to destroy you. Put your girlfriend on the train tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got more motives than that.
Yeah. Teach Chase. Hi, Lindsay.
It was DC, right? That's what Belle was asking.
Yeah, it was.
Nice. So what was that? It's got to be fun to play the villain, right?
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
It's a lot of fun. And I played, my very first role was was a very bad person. It was on one of the murder reenactment shows, and I played a murderer, and like it's all awful, but like to explore just play in that area can get fun, to not be so virtuous, or to be virtuous for a reason that is not my personal reason.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think makes a good villain in like a TV show or a movie? Because like, you know, from a filmmaker and like writing perspective, you know, I've always thought, you know, the villain should have almost the same motives, except like flipped on its head as the heroes. So whenever you're reading that, do you remember being like, dang, this is good?
Yeah, no, I definitely felt it was good. I mean, it's my thing as an actor is you always want to find, it's just what I was saying, you always want to find like a source code for that character, of like why he's ticking like that. And it's like, if it is just that dude with a mustache, then it's like I want to find truth in the acting. I want to work on my craft while I'm doing it. I don't want to be, I don't, like, for me personally, I don't want to find the theatrics so much. So I do always want to find something that lives in that. So like, I'm not huge into superhero movies, but what's the dude with the rings?
Oh, Thanos.
Thanos. Like, he makes total sense. If you like, you can go down his thought process and be like, I don't agree with you, but for what you want, like, I can see why you're doing that. And to me, like, that's what there needs to be. And then there's also got to be a little bit of crazy. A little
Yeah,
bit
totally.
of Ledger's Joker in there.
What kind of what's your process usually whenever you read a script for a new character? Like, is there a way that you really get into the role? Do you like write an essay on them, or do like some weird method acting? Or
No, I mean, I I try I try a lot of things just because like as I get more and more opportunities, I want to play with different ways of going about it and seeing what works and what doesn't. Um, I am definitely like the type of person that like I need to look at the words and I need to be word perfect and I need to understand all of the words. So I'll mark up my script a lot and kind of draw lines on every line and say this is where I'm thinking this and I'm thinking this, so that's why I say this and then I try to get a lot of repetition in that to a point where it becomes more internal, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And then obviously once it's time to shoot, you do your best to just throw all of that away. Um, because if you're focusing on all the breakdown of the text, then you're not going to be connecting with who's across from you. So,
What's the biggest screw up you've made whenever the director says action, and then have you ever like forgotten your lines
dude, yes,
momentarily?
yeah, I've I forget my lines often. If there's a thing I can work on most is like I think is controlling my anxiety to where those lines can stay there because
Mhm.
there is the like you got to let everything go and you got to just be there, but you also got to not feel anxiety so that you can just bring all that prep that you did with you and I naturally have a lot of anxiety, so like yeah, I'll forget lines. um I don't know. Nothing awful or hilarious comes to mind. But I will say that forgetting a line is like totally normal and to be expected. And anyone who wants to act like should not move forward being terrified of forgetting their lines because I see every time I'm on set, I see professionals who I respect and still respect forgetting their lines. So if you forget your line, you just have to move forward and not cut, not break the scene. You just got to keep going, and hopefully they'll pick you up, or hopefully the director will support you or script you or something like that.
Go watch literally any blooper from any movie ever. I guarantee there's a couple of scenes where the actor
Yeah, they love.
runs into the scene and they mess up, and then you hear the whole crew laugh. So
Yeah,
obviously, it's got to be a little bit of fun whenever you forget your lines.
yeah, and usually those are like main build cast that you're seeing. You're seeing that. So like me as a day player and my peers, like I think there's a little more pressure to not forget our lines than for them. But you know, it's
Yeah, I
not
totally get that.
what you do. Just keep moving.
So, on the topic of anxiety, a little bit, how have you or over the years since you've started, how have you combated, anxiety and doing your work?
Mm, I think it's more of just like kind of lifestyle build. I've definitely incorporated meditation into my life. Um,
Hmm.
that I feel like that strengthens some sort of muscle in my brain or some area in my brain that I can kind of shut out any of the negative thoughts or my brain going left and right. So meditation, I definitely use, and honestly, like seeing a therapist. I've been seeing a therapist for years at this point, probably over 3 or 4, and it's just extremely helpful to just talk to someone and get thoughts and emotions out and have someone professional who knows how to navigate those thoughts and pull you in the right direction down the right road where you need to go,
Hmm.
to kind of work on that.
Yeah, totally. And for anyone listening, there's no shame in ever going to a therapist.
Mm.
I I went to therapy last year, and I've always had this weird fear that, like, oh man, what if I go to therapy and then at the very end they're just like, actually, you have all of these mental diseases and you're pretty much insane. We're gonna have to lock you up or something like that. And I remember going, and my therapist was just like, "Yeah, you're pretty normal. Just come back next time. We'll keep talking about some of the issues you're having." And I was
Yeah.
like, "I'm normal?" Like, she's like, "Yeah, you're just weird." There's that word again.
Broad or
Um,
normal or unusual. Um,
um,
yeah,
for
no,
people that can't afford to go to therapists, I've heard there's some apps that you can go to where there are professionals on there.
yeah.
So maybe you can try that out. And
And I
um,
also, this is like with some of my friends and people who have asked me, because I'm pretty open about seeing a therapist.
mhm.
But I would also look for the word counselor. A lot of times people who are going to school to be a therapist will take on people, and sometimes they're called counselors or, and I'm not a professional in this, so I could be getting this wrong, but there are absolutely resources that work on, or people who work on a sliding scale, for a budget, uh, that that so that everyone can get, the care that they need.
Yeah, totally. And like therapists and counselors, they're there to help you. So a lot of them will work with you, I think.
Absolutely, yeah.
Hmm. And how is like your perception on the world? Has it like changed at all since you've started going to therapy?
Yeah, for sure. You start seeing. I think like I grew up thinking like something was wrong with me, and I needed to work
Hmm.
on my issues. And now you kind of just go through life like realizing that like everyone you're talking to like has their own stuff that they're either working on or they're not working on. And any like way that you could feel slighted by anything that they do like is definitely not on me. It's honestly not on them. It's just that like we're all working through things. We're all working through things that are in us that we have to like understand about ourselves.
Hmm. And sometimes the thing that's wrong with you isn't even the thing that's wrong with you. Sometimes it's someone you got to cut out of your life, or maybe
Oh,
it's like, a food you need to quit eating.
yeah, absolutely. They say
Yeah, totally.
it's
How
important.
has that helped you with, acting or in your creative endeavors also?
Going to a therapist.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, and definitely with that, like, I think with that, like with understanding, like with expanding the viewpoint that like everything I'm going through is like I can work through it and I can grow through it, and everything that like everyone else's issues is something that they're growing through. It gives you a perspective that like if I take on another character, like the reason that they're like this is their behavior is because that they've gone through things too. Um, so I think it definitely helps in creating characters and building them to be believable, like fully fleshed out people, instead of like caricatures of what like that character is. Because a lot of times, like you'll get text and it'll just be like, I don't know, engineer number 7, and
Mhm.
like it'll just be like text that is like what you would think an engineer is, but like it's my job as an actor to build on that and to make that text come alive, and um, So I guess when I have that perspective that everyone is a human and everyone has flaws and everyone's working through it, it really helps.
Hmm. And I think that's a really interesting take too, because I feel like people get lost whenever they see like, oh, this is a movie. This is, those characters that you see in front of the screen or on the screen. They those people are based on real people and
Mm.
something that someone has gone through. Um, has there ever been like something? Has there ever been a role that you had to ask more questions about and really had to dive into the character to understand them?
Um, a couple years ago, I did a short that was about opiate addiction.
Hmm.
And the director was also the writer, and it was about his hometown. So, I mean, with stuff like that, like I don't have a lot of experience with. So, like, yeah, I definitely leaned on his experience and tried to be like extremely gentle with the material and how I was, going to portray my character in this community. Because you want it to be layered, like it's like a responsibility that you have to layer it and make it real.
Hmm. How much like research and stuff did you do for Jeremy on Sweet Magnolias?
I think I did research a little bit of organic farming and figure out like some like just like really basic stuff, but um, I think I think mostly for Jeremy it was um, chemistry related.
I
Just
gotcha.
being there with the other with Brooke and kind of just creating that chemistry that those two characters had, and then with Jeremy and Ryan, um, yeah, I did a little bit, but I didn't become an organic farmer.
Did you know anything about farming in general?
No, not at all.
That's amazing. But hey, that's acting, right?
That's acting.
Yeah. How many farmers in movies are actual farmers? Come on.
Very little.
But on the subject of chemistry, has that ever been like difficult for you to like get that down with certain characters?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's different. So, I mean, everyone's kind of going through their own stuff, and everyone's going to be at a different level of, I don't know, like the answer is yes, but, um, like you just got to push through. Like you can't let that affect your performance. You can't let
Hmm.
that affect you or make it push you to feel like you're not welcome there. Um, I try hard now to make myself feel like I belong on the set. And that's something that I've definitely like had to learn as I go
Hmm.
because you never know what a set is going to feel like when you show up. You never know if people are excited to work there, if they love working there, if they've had a long week, if it's the last day of the shoot. Like you never know what's going on. So since it's so random, for me, I if I feel like I can't do something, like if I can't go somewhere, and that's not to say I'll leave the set because then I'll get in trouble. But like if I feel like I can't move around, I'll go move around. If I feel like I can't say something, I'll say something, I'll ask. Because that feeling of not being in control right there will it'll in my view, it'll affect your performance.
Hmm.
And you don't want that to seep into whatever the story is.
That's interesting. Do you have like a story that you can tell where you did that, where you were like, I'm terrified to ask, the director or the producer something, so I'm just going to ask them just to see where my, boundaries are.
Mm, nothing I really want to say. I just
I get it. If you can't talk about it, that's fine.
I do remember one specifically where like and it's just kind of like feeds into my people pleaser mode is like when I get on set
Mhm.
and like you want to get people to like you, you want them to welcome you, you want them to appreciate that you're there so that like you feel comfortable. But there's one specific time I wasn't getting that, and I had to fight that urge for me to keep getting this person to like me. So I just was like, you know what? I'm not doing this. I'm not going to play this game. I need to work on my lines. I need to run them and go through them. So I went to the opposite side of the stage, or the opposite side of the set. And I literally went through the actions of my scene and did it over and over and over so that they were in my body and so that nothing was really affecting, to my best ability, that dynamic wasn't affecting my performance when it's time to roll.
I gotcha. Well, Chase, we're nearing the end of the show, so I think we're going to take questions. So anybody that's watching, please go ahead and ask Chase some questions. We're going to be taking some questions. We got one right here. Have you ever had a role that you felt like you couldn't take because it compromised your values? Or is there an experience you felt like was really hard to get through because it walked the line somehow? And how do you protect yourself from those types of situations? It's a loaded question.
Um, I remember being offered something a few times that were in the in a like sexually abusive area.
Mm.
And when you're a young actor, you're so excited to work, so it can feel like if you're turning something down that it's the end of the world, and that it's gonna like completely cut off your momentum in some direction, or with those people, or um but I mean, that's exactly what it is. You have to stay true to who you are, or like you're not. It's like being an actor is all about being comfortable and being able to bring yourself to the role, to set, to that moment. And like if anything's holding you back, you can't do it. It's like maybe that was a good story. Maybe it was a great story that the role that turned out. However, if I couldn't bring myself to those parts, then I wasn't going to serve it.
Favorite show to rewatch?
To rewatch, that's a good question. I just rewatched The Wire for the second time. I think either my brother or my mom got me a book called All the Pieces Matter, which is like an oral telling of the history of the show. So it's written very much like in a documentary style where like actors, producers, directors, casting directors are quoted and just one after the other. So I was able to read that book while I was rewatching the show, and I found it like so enjoyable, especially the second time around, because I just like it's been like 4 or 5 years, so I've both like grown, learned more, and you just see the show in a totally different light, especially with the
I
book.
need to watch it now. I'm
Here
very
you are.
intrigued. I've never watched it.
It's written by crime novelists and crime journalists.
Ooh,
So like
I'm
it,
very interested now.
it is like dense as hell. Like do not pick your phone up because you will miss something, but it is so rewarding.
Hmm.
It is
That's cool.
yeah.
If you could have lunch with one person alive or dead, who would it be?
Someone asked that?
Yeah, Bell did.
I've seen people be asked these before, so like maybe I should have an answer to that, but like that's not something I think about.
Also,
Um,
Denise, welcome to the chat. Welcome to the show.
oh Denise. Um,
D nice.
One person lunch, dead or alive. Uh, this comes to mind. Let's just say Kanye West, so that perhaps I can pull him back. I can pull him back to our side, back to earth.
I gotcha. Denise, you got a question? We're taking questions right now. Really, anyone. If you're joining, welcome. Let's see. We miss the old Kanye. I miss the old Kanye too.
Lindsay, I
I
think
didn't mind his gospel album. I did not mind it.
you liked it.
It wasn't terrible. It's not. It's not even like I from a very Christian background,
Yeah.
and I grew up with gospel, so I was like, this isn't bad. But I've heard better gospel music also.
He lost me with the Chick-fil-A line.
You my Chick-fil-A. I don't even remember the line.
I don't either, but I just remember hearing like a Chick-fil-A metaphor, and I was like, I'm out.
Peace.
um, my favorite Kanye album is, dude. This is what I said. I said I will forget every proper noun when we're here.
What about Graduation?
I love Graduation. It's not my favorite. Um, what shampoo and conditioner do you use?
This is a very important question. You got some luscious locks, dude.
I don't know the like. I just Googled. I think I got whatever I have out of a GQ article. I don't know. I was like, GQ, you know what they're doing. I'll
You
get
know
that.
their stuff.
I do like Pablo.
Uh,
I do like Pablo. The answer is not My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. It's
what?
why can't I think Yeezus? It's Yeezus. The answer is Yeezus. That is his best album.
Really?
Yes.
I liked it, but I can't say it's my favorite.
I love that it doesn't want to be liked. Like Yeezus is here and it's loud and it knows when it happened, it sounds like it knows exactly what it's trying to say, but when you see Kanye now, you're like, wait, what? But
I like a couple of tracks off of it, but I can't listen to the whole album, honestly.
really,
Mm.
I'm sorry.
No, I like it, dude. Let's see. Who is an actor slash actress that you would really like to work with?
Man, I was watching Drive yesterday. I was actually watching Drive
I
with
love that movie.
volume off because I was like, I want to work out, but I want something pretty on my TV while I do it. And I'm just like constantly amazed at how Ryan Gosling is just like he doesn't do anything with his face, but you know exactly like he's acting very well, but he's not doing anything.
Yeah, dude, no joke. Ryan Gosling is one of my favorite actors. Like
Yeah.
people make fun of him because he's like known as the Notebook guy,
Yeah.
but dude, he is phenomenal. I
No,
love him.
amazing. I think about him often when I think of trying to be like still and convey emotion and tell the story at the same time. I think he's incredible.
Mhm. Who's your dream director to work with?
I would like to work with Spike Lee. I think that would be really
Heck yeah,
I
that'd be
love
cool.
stylistically, like I love his shit. Who did Baby Driver?
I was about to say Edgar Wright. Like he's my number one on my list
I,
of
I,
directors I would love to work with.
I love Edgar Wright as well. So
Hmm.
I'd love to be. I love like both of them to me. Like they're different, but it's very like stylistic and jumpy and goes the
Yeah, what
pacing.
I like about Edgar is he like plans out so many things. Like he plans out the shots along with the edit. Sometimes he thinks of the edit before he goes into the shot, or he
Oh
thinks of the
yeah.
songs before he like shoots anything. And like Baby Driver, he's even like described it. It's like he's like it's pretty much a musical, except nobody's really singing.
Oh really?
So or singing and like doing like a bunch of choreographed dances,
Yeah.
even though
Wait,
they are technically
he does
choreographed.
incorporate song very well into his stuff.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. Like I like almost everything is on beat to the music in the film. If you rewatch it,
Yeah.
like it's the coolest movie ever. Favorite Spike Lee film?
Um, favorite Spike Lee film. Let's see. The back. Um, he he got game.
Nice. Is that what it's called?
Is it? Yeah.
I feel like I can't name a lot of Spike Lee movies, honestly, off the top of my head.
It's the one with Denzel Washington, and I'm pretty sure it's He Got Game. But I just like I grew up playing basketball, so I'm
Oh, that makes sense.
anything basketball. I'm like, thank you. It's not really
Nice.
I love basketball films.
Sick.
Um,
Well, Chase, I think I'm going to end it there. Thank you so much for coming on, dude. Is there anything else you want to say to the people?
no, I'm flattered that literally anyone showed up. So that that's
Me
maybe
too. I'm always blown away if more than two people show up. So this was great. Thank you, everybody, for joining. And thank you, Chase. I'll see you guys next time. Have a blessed evening.
see you.